Hello friends, family, internet strangers, Stephanie here, and today I want to share with you a little bit about my recent experience with a Daniel fast. This is not the first time I've done a Daniel fast, this is my second time. You can do this a few different ways, so I want to show you a little bit about how I did a Daniel fast. First things first, what is the Daniel fast? The Daniel fast is a spiritual fast. It is not about the food. And I repeat that again, food is not the most important part of this fast. But it is the part most people are curious about, so I am going to touch on that in this video. Again, I repeat, this is not about the food. The Daniel fast is a spiritual fast. So this is not intermittent fasting, this is not 1 meal a day fasting, this is not eating completely at all fasting. This is a spiritual fast rooted in the Bible, in the book of Daniel. In the book of Daniel, there are a few different instances of him fasting to draw closer to God and to be able to interpret dreams and listen and draw closer. So in the Bible, there's a mention of Daniel fasting for 10 days. There's a mention of Daniel fasting for 21 days. And then there are a few that are instances that simply say that Daniel fasted and prayed. So he eats no meat, he eats no processed foods, although how many processed foods really were there at that time? In the Bible, they describe it as no choice foods. So, no choice foods. I chose to do a 10-day Daniel fast, and what this entails is essentially eating only fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. So there's no processed food, no added sugar, no alcohol, no caffeine. It's offering up a sacrifice to God. So that is what I followed for 10 days. I have done the 21 day in the past. I did that about 2 years ago for Lent. And then last year, I thought we kind of all gave up a lot for Lent of 2020. So this year I did want to get back to it, but I'm going to be traveling soon. So I only did a 10-day this time around. And during that time, I made some sacrifices, not only with food, but with my time as well. That leads me to, why did I do this Daniel fast? So as I mentioned, I did it a little bit ago for Lent. And I wanted to do it again this year for Lent, but also the main reason I really wanted to do it this year was because I knew that this past week, this past 10 days, were going to be a very rough time for me emotionally. I was recently laid off from my job that I absolutely love, and it was entirely due to COVID still being a thing. So hopefully I will go back to that job soon when the world can get its act together. I knew that it was going to be difficult, so for that first 10 days of unemployment, instead of turning to television and binge eating and eating all of the bad foods, I did not want to do that. I wanted to find some more purpose in that time. So I decided that a Daniel fast would be a good thing for both Lent and this season of my life. How did I spend my time during the Daniel fast? Well, one of the things about this fast is sacrifice, and not just in food, but in your time as well. So I spent significantly more time than usual praying. I normally pray every day, at least twice a day, but I upped that quite a bit. I spent a lot of time reading scripture and journaling. Journaling was a big part of what I have done in the past 10 days. And then also reading books. Now, reading books may not sound like a sacrifice to most people, but to me it is. I hate reading. I have never been a fan of reading books. Doesn't matter if they're nonfiction or fiction. I have always preferred writing. I am not a book person whatsoever. I will read articles, I will read fan fiction about the TV shows that I watch, but I don't read books very often. Doesn't matter whether it's fiction or nonfiction. So I spent time reading. I read 5 books in 10 days. And I don't mean children's books. These were books that had been piling up. They were all books by Christian authors. They were nonfiction books, books about finding happiness, finding joy, conquering anxiety, books about scripture, so that's how I spent my time. I'll watch a lot of TV normally. My TV is on usually from the middle of the afternoon all the way until I go to bed. So usually anywhere between 1 p.m. and 1 a.m., sometimes as late as that, my TV is going to be on at least in the background, even if I'm not actively watching it. But during this time, I cut that down to about 2 to 3 hours per day. I basically only watched baking shows, which is very strange considering you give up sugar during this, so I couldn't eat any baked goods, but I surprisingly wasn't tempted watching the Great British Baking Show. Great British Bake Off. It has different names. It's the most wholesome show you're ever going to find, really. What is more wholesome than watching people watch their bread rise and watch their bread in the oven? I love that. In American baking shows, no one ever has time to watch their products cook. So that's how I spent most of the time that I was watching television. But I also made a rule for myself not to watch anything I've already seen, which is normally a comfort to me, is to watch and rewatch shows, because I'm not just an avid watcher, I'm an avid rewatcher. So I did not rewatch any episodes of anything that I had already seen. And those were some of the ways I made sacrifices in my time, by reading, which I do not like, and cutting down on my television, which I love. And then also, again, spending a lot of time in prayer and journaling. And all of that brings me to the part that most people probably tuned into this for. What did I eat? So let's take a look at some of the groceries that I bought and also some of the meals that I had during this time. The Daniel fast is mainly about eating vegetables, as many vegetables as possible. Canned, frozen, fresh, doesn't matter. So I got some diced tomatoes, some canned green beans, spinach to use for smoothies and potentially salads, cabbage for some soup. I got 1 potato. I was trying to cut back. I ate a lot of potatoes last time. Got some cucumbers, celery, onion, some baby carrots, and some bell peppers. I love peppers in pretty much anything. And then I also got some green peppers that I used for some cooking, and some broccoli. And for fruit, I got some strawberries and blueberries frozen for smoothies. Those had no sugar added. I also got some kiwis as snacks. I got some bananas as breakfasts and snacks and to use in smoothies. They only had these large bags of apples and oranges at Aldi, so I got a 3-pound bag of apples. It lasted longer than the fast, so did the 4-pound bag of oranges. And then other than that, this is all I have outside of fruits and vegetables. I got some vegetable stock, and this you have to be careful with because a lot of brands have sugar. So check the ingredient label, but this Kitchen Basics brand, that's the one I have found that does not. I also got some black beans, and I got some almond milk, which was unsweetened. Peanut butter, again, making sure it's only peanuts and salt and not any added sugar in that one. I got some almonds and walnuts, some brown rice, and then I also got some hummus. Again, be careful with the added sugar. Meal planning is a key component to the Daniel fast, mainly so that you don't spend too much time thinking about food or working on food, because then if you're spending so much time thinking about it, it's hard to focus on what you're supposed to be focusing on. Meal prep was also really important in this. I chopped up a lot of my meals. I made meals in advance. This was my lunch pretty much every day, and if I didn't eat lunch on a certain day, this was my dinner. And the reason I wouldn't eat lunch some days, if I had a smoothie for breakfast. Not a big breakfast person, but these smoothies I would use spinach, strawberries, blueberries, bananas, and unsweetened almond milk. I also like to keep my meals really simple, so broccoli with brown rice. No substitutes for anything else, simple foods. And then I also used some leftover broccoli and did some green peppers and onions with some tomato sauce and Italian seasoning. I also made a big pot of black beans and had some of them plain and some of them over a baked potato. My most recent video is about the black beans. I will link that below if you want to check it out. And my next video will be about this cabbage soup. This turned out so much better than I was expecting, and I ate it for 4 meals. It was really tasty. I struggled with sleeping during this time, and I eventually realized that it was because of the food. And not because of the foods I was eating, but because of how little I was eating. I didn't wake up feeling hungry, and I even didn't wake up in the morning feeling hungry, but I was not sleeping well for probably days 2 through 5. So I started adding in a snack in between my evening walk and bedtime, and that helped quite a bit. I did not have nearly as much trouble sleeping once I started having a banana and peanut butter or an apple and peanut butter or a couple kiwis before bed, and that helped me infinitely to wake up feeling much more refreshed. I found that I was not as hungry as I thought I would be. Last time I did this, I do remember being hungrier, but that also might be due to the fact that I had a job that between my job and my normal exercise after my job, I would walk about at least 6 miles per day. So I was very active at that time, and now I still did a little bit of exercising during these 10 days, but it was not 6 miles a day. It was 2 to 3 miles a day. So I didn't need as much food to get by on that. If you're looking at doing the Daniel fast, but you have medical conditions, please, please, please consult your doctor before doing this. I am not a doctor. I am not telling anyone that you should be doing this. I am just saying this is the experience that I had, and I hope it was helpful for anyone that is considering doing this. And I'm going to leave some links below for resources that I used. If you have not seen my black bean video with the black beans that I ate, that is going to be in the description box below as well. And I will be posting on Sunday of this coming weekend, I'll be posting the cabbage soup video. So I will link that below once that is up, but keep your eyes peeled for that. You know the best way to not miss it? Subscribe to the channel. So don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed it. If you've ever done a Daniel fast, or if you're thinking of doing one, leave me a comment below and I'd love to chat. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.